epidemics made death a frequent visitor. While the tradition may seem macabre today, post-mortem photography was a reflection of the era's relationship with death, a time when mortality was an ever-present part of life. These images, though somber, remind us of the enduring human desire to hold on to loved ones, even as they depart from this world, capturing a moment of stillness and peace amidst the chaos of loss. Number 8. Children riding a cow to school as transportation. In the Wild West, where resourcefulness was a key to survival, children riding a cow to school was a charming yet practical solution to the transportation challenges of the era. Picture a small town at dawn. The horses, while faster, were expensive and not always available to every family. Cows, on the other hand, were primarily kept for milk and meat, but their strength and calm demeanor made them a surprisingly effective means of transportation for short distances. The image of children riding a cow brings to life the spirit of adventure and resilience that defined frontier life. As they made their way to school, the children would laugh and chat, the cow's gentle swaying adding a rhythmic lull to their conversations. It was a journey that turned the mundane task of going to school into an adventure of its own, a daily reminder of the unique lifestyle that the Wild West demanded. Number 9. Public flogging and whipping as legal punishments. In the Wild West, public flogging and whipping were brutal punishments that served justice. Flogging was intended to be a deterrent in a land where formal legal systems were still developing. The whip, often wielded by lawmen or soldiers, cut through the air with a terrifying whistle before landing on bare skin, leaving bloody welts and scars. Each lash was a reminder of the price of defying societal norms, both for the offender and the onlookers. The executioners, hardened individuals, showed no mercy, aiming to break the will of the offender and reinforce the social order. For the spectators, these events were a grim reminder of the thin line between order and chaos. Some watched in horror, others with cold indifference, yet all were reminded of the consequences of stepping out of line. The pain inflicted was not us of the frontier, leaving indelible marks on both its victims and the collective memory of those who bore witness. Number 10. Allowing horses inside saloons and public buildings. In the rambunctious days of the Wild West, it wasn't uncommon to see a horse meandering through the swinging doors of a saloon, much to the surprise of modern sensibilities. Imagine the scene. A cowboy, dusty from the trail, casually leading his trusty steed into a bustling saloon. The sight, though unusual to us today, was a testament to the unique blend of practicality and whimsy that characterized frontier life. Horses, the lifeline of the Wild West, were more than mere transportation. They were companions, and sometimes even confidants, intersected. The presence of horses within these establishments added to the chaotic charm, with the clatter of hooves mingling with the clinking of glasses and the lively hum of conversation. This practice also underscored the informal, often improvisational nature of life on the frontier, where rules bent to accommodate the needs of the moment. While the image of a horse in a saloon conjures laughter and intrigue today, it remains a vivid reminder of an era where the lines between the wild and the civilized often blurred. It speaks to a time when adaptability was key and the unexpected was just another part of daily life in the untamed West. Number 11. Open carry of firearms and frequent gunfights. In the rugged and lawless expanses were often settled with bullets instead of words. The open carry of firearms was a norm, born out of necessity in a land where law enforcement was sparse and sometimes hours away. Settlers, cowboys, and outlaws alike carried guns as tools of survival and symbols of status. In towns, the clatter of spurs was often accompanied by the metallic jingle of a revolver at the hip, a constant reminder of the ever-present potential for violence. Gunfights, while dramatic, were also a grim testament to the harshness of life on the frontier. Feuds over land, cattle, or personal honor frequently escalated into deadly showdowns. These confrontations, immortalized in countless tales and legends, were as much about asserting dominance as they were about culture, where the fastest draw could determine the outcome of a dispute. Number 12. Riding horses through towns and even indoors. In the Wild West, where the boundary between civilization and wilderness was often blurred, riding horses through towns and even indoors was not just a necessity, but a cultural quirk that reflected the era's untamed spirit. Envision a bustling street where the clatter of hooves on wooden planks is as common as the chatter of townsfolk. Horses were indispensable companions, and their presence inside establishments was not merely tolerated, but expected in some cases. Saloons, the social epicenters of Wild West towns, frequently saw cowboys ride their horses right up to the bar. This practice was partly practical. Hitching posts were scarce, and leaving of necessity and bravado. It was a time when practicality often mingled with the audacious, creating scenes that today seem straight out of a tall tale. These moments captured the essence of a society still finding its footing, where the rules were as fluid as the riverbeds and the people as rugged as the terrain they tamed. Number 13. Pony Express riders delivering mail at lightning speeds. In the era of the Pony Express, the Wild West saw a revolution in communication that was as thrilling as it was essential. Imagine a landscape where news from the East Coast took months to travel across the country. Then, in a bold move, the Pony Express galloped onto the scene, slashing delivery time to just 10 days. This relay mail service, active and speed. Cody, who famously continued his route after his relief was found dead, exemplified the grit required to be a Pony Express rider. Each rider covered approximately 75 to 100 miles per shift, changing horses every 10 to 15 miles at designated relay stations. The service was a lifeline for a growing nation, uniting distant communities with unprecedented swiftness. Despite its short-lived operation, the Pony Express captured the imagination of a country on the cusp of technological transformation. The legacy of the Pony Express lies not only in its speed, but also in its embodiment of the indomitable spirit of the frontier. It demonstrated the lengths to which people would go to connect and communicate in an age where every message was a thread in the fabric, images of piles of buffalo skulls. This grim chapter in history was not just an environmental catastrophe, but a cultural assault on the indigenous peoples who revered the buffalo as sacred, relying on it for sustenance, clothing, and shelter. The systematic annihilation was fueled by a complex interplay of economic greed and strategic warfare. Buffalo hides became a profitable commodity, driving hunters to decimate entire herds for their pelts, leaving carcasses to rot. Railroads facilitated this slaughter, offering transport and even excursions for thrill seekers to shoot buffalo from train windows. But beyond commerce, the slaughter had a sinister strategic motive: to undermine Native American tribes by destroying their primary resource, thereby forcing them form part of a broader narrative of reconciliation and environmental stewardship. Number 15. Infrequent bathing and neglected personal hygiene. In the rugged landscape of the Wild West, personal hygiene often took a back seat to survival, leading to infrequent bathing and neglected cleanliness that became part of daily life. Imagine the grit and grime that accumulated as settlers and cowboys navigated dusty trails, often going weeks or months without a proper bath. The scarcity of water and the sheer effort required to heat it over an open fire meant that bathing was a rare luxury, not a routine. For many, the process of bathing involved hauling water from a distant source, heating it painstakingly, and then sharing a small metal tub with the entire family. This scarcity turned just the availability of water. The dusty environment covered everything in a layer of grime, while the lack of modern hygiene products meant settlers had to improvise. Hair care involved handmade combs and harsh soaps, while laundry was a grueling task that often left clothes stiff and uncomfortable. Despite these challenges, the pioneers of the Wild West adapted to their harsh environment with resilience and resourcefulness. Their stories of infrequent bathing and neglected hygiene provide a gritty glimpse into the past, reminding us of the incredible endurance required to carve out a life on the frontier. These tales of perseverance amidst rough conditions highlight not just the physical hardships, but also the indomitable spirit that defined those who dared to call the Wild West home.